like I said, every game I'm going to get better and better. Today was better than, the last game in Utah. And obviously it was better than a week ago, my first game here. So, every game, every day, I continue to work on my body, continue to work on my win, continue to work on my habits, the good habits to put myself in position to be helpful for this team.
Last one for you. So Luka obviously was unconscious early, and then maybe you guys put this game away early in the fourth. You and Austin, so much time on the court together. You know exactly how each other.
LeBron James officially at rock bottom. The King can't even extend his 10-point streak anymore. The same man who spent 2 decades dominating the league is now fighting just to stay relevant in games that don't even matter. For the first time in his legendary career, we're watching LeBron struggle to do what used to come naturally. And the worst part? Nobody saw this coming. What happened to the unstoppable force who once averaged 27 points in his sleep? The answer is more complicated than anyone wants to admit, and what we're about to reveal will change how you see his entire final chapter.
Yesterday, we saw his 1,200, nearly 1,300 game in a regular season game in a road streak of 10-plus points, and versus the Toronto Raptors. I think it was poetic because it ended on an assist that led to a game winner. But fellas, I saw somebody tweet at me, I've been on this earth for 18 years. It's the first time I've seen LeBron in the regular season drop less than 10 points.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. And it really is getting to that point. And I even seen somebody talk about like...
Let's be real for a second. When you think of LeBron James, you think of consistency. You think of a guy who shows up every single night and puts up numbers that make other superstars jealous. For 22 years, LeBron has been the gold standard of basketball excellence. But something has shifted in 2025, and it's not subtle anymore. We're talking about a player who literally couldn't go 2 consecutive games without dropping at least 10 points. Think about that. 10 points. That's not asking for a triple-double. That's not even asking for an all-star performance. That's baseline NBA production. And yet here we are, watching LeBron James fail to clear that bar multiple times. The numbers don't lie. In late January 2025, LeBron had back-to-back games where he finished with single-digit scoring. 7 points in one game, 8 in another. These aren't throwaway preseason games either. These are legitimate regular season matchups where his team desperately needed him to show up, and he simply couldn't deliver. Fans on Twitter went absolutely nuclear. One viral tweet said, "I've watched LeBron for 15 years and never thought I'd see the day where he looks completely washed. This is heartbreaking." Another comment that gained massive traction read, "The king is dead. Long live the king. It's over, bro." But here's what makes this even more devastating. It's not just about the points. It's about how he's scoring them. LeBron used to attack the rim with the force of a freight train. Now, he's settling for contested mid-range jumpers that clank off the rim. He's passing up open lanes to the basket. He's hesitating on plays where the old LeBron would have dunked on someone's head without thinking twice. His body language tells the whole story. There's footage of him after missed shots just standing there, hands on his hips, looking completely defeated. The fire that used to burn in his eyes during crunch time, it's flickering, and everyone can see it. This isn't a 2-game slump. This isn't just having an off week. This is the beginning of something nobody wants to say out loud. LeBron James, the greatest player of this generation, is in the middle of a historic decline, and it's happening faster than anyone predicted.
Some of the highlights are eye-popping, and then you have the people who are defenders of the game, so to speak, and they show LeBron's lowlights, and they show him struggling to get around JJ Barea or struggling to get around Paulo Banchero, whomever it is, and I don't get why. I don't understand the why. If you are supposed to be this exalted person, if you're better than all but maybe 1 or 2 players in NBA history, to some people you're number 1, to some people you're number 2.
If we're being honest, the signs were there from the jump. Early in the 2024-2025 season, something looked different about LeBron. He wasn't exploding to the rim anymore. His first step, that legendary burst of speed that used to leave defenders in the dust, was gone.
Analysts tried to explain it away. He's playing smart. He's conserving energy for the playoffs. This is just load management in disguise. But the people who watched every game knew better. LeBron wasn't choosing to play slower. He physically couldn't play the way he used to. There were games in November and December where he'd start hot, maybe hit a couple of early buckets, and then completely disappear in the second half. Not because he was passing more or facilitating, but because he looked gassed, exhausted, like his tank was empty before the fourth quarter even started. Social media was picking up on it too. Videos started circulating showing LeBron getting blown by on defense, clips of him bricking wide-open layups, compilations of him looking completely lost in offensive sets. The comments were brutal. This man is cooked. Somebody tell LeBron it's time to retire. I can't watch this anymore. It's too painful. But the real warning sign came in mid-January 2025. There was a critical game where LeBron's team was down by 3 with 2 minutes left. The ball was in his hands, and everyone in the arena expected him to take over. Instead, he drove baseline, got cut off, and threw a weak pass that got intercepted. The camera zoomed in on his face, and you could see it. Pure frustration. Not at his teammates, at himself. That's when insiders started leaking information. Whispers about how LeBron's practice intensity had dropped off. Reports that he was showing up to shoot-arounds looking stiff and uncomfortable. Anonymous sources claiming that even his closest teammates were noticing the decline, but didn't know how to address it. And then came the streak-breaking moment. Late January 2025, LeBron officially failed to score 10 points in consecutive games for the first time in his entire career. The stat that broke the internet. The headline that made even his biggest supporters question what they were watching. But this is where the story gets really complicated, because what's happening on the court is only half of the problem.
Right. And you're playing like you're at one of the best seasons you've ever had. Yeah. Why is that, you think? Is it comfort? Is it what is it about this year?
I mean, I think obviously I've been in the game for a while, so I kind of know what to expect. And, obviously, one, you got to take care of your body, but more importantly, you got to take care of your mind. Being a professional athlete, if your mind is not as sharp as possible or as clear as possible, then you're not going to be able to perform at a high level. I think, seeing what our team is capable of doing, even before, the big acquisition of picking up.
Here's what the cameras don't show you. Behind the scenes, there's been serious tension brewing. Sources close to the organization have revealed that there have been multiple conversations about LeBron's role moving forward. Not public discussions, private, uncomfortable meetings where everyone is trying to figure out how to handle the elephant in the room. The issue isn't just that LeBron is declining, it's that he hasn't adjusted his mentality to match his current physical state. He still sees himself as the number one option. He still wants the ball in his hands during crunch time. He still expects to be treated like the superstar who carried teams to championships. But the gap between perception and reality is getting wider every single game. There are reports that coaching staff members have suggested reducing his minutes, giving him more rest days, maybe even bringing him off the bench to preserve his energy for key moments. And according to insiders, LeBron has pushed back hard against every single suggestion. One anonymous source described a heated exchange where LeBron allegedly said, "I've earned the right to go out on my own terms." And look, that's fair. The man has given everything to the game. He's earned respect. But at some point, someone has to tell him the truth, and nobody wants to be that person. What's even more concerning is the conditioning aspect. Multiple people within the organization have quietly expressed concerns about LeBron's off-season preparation. There are rumors that he didn't put in the same work he used to, that his training regimen wasn't as intense, that his body simply isn't responding the way it used to, no matter how much recovery and treatment he gets. And then there's the mental side of it. Imagine being LeBron James. Imagine spending 22 years being the best player on every team you've ever been on, the guy everyone looks to in pressure moments, the closer, the leader, and now suddenly you can't even guarantee you'll score 10 points in a game. That psychological shift is brutal. There's footage from recent games where you can see LeBron hesitating before taking shots, second-guessing decisions he would have made instinctively 3 years ago. It's not just physical decline, it's the mental erosion that comes with realizing your body won't do what your brain is telling it to do anymore.
The whispers around the league have gotten louder too. Other players, commentators, former teammates, they're all starting to say what everyone's thinking. LeBron's done. This is hard to watch. He needs to hang it up before it gets worse. But here's the thing that nobody's talking about. LeBron's brand is built on longevity, on defying age, on proving doubters wrong. Retiring now, admitting defeat, goes against everything his entire legacy is built on. So even if his body is screaming at him to stop, his ego won't let him. And that internal battle, that's what's creating the dysfunction we're seeing on the court. Once the 10-point streak officially ended, the media pounced. Sports talk shows dedicated entire segments to dissecting LeBron's decline. Analysts who spent years praising him were now openly questioning whether he's hurting his legacy by playing too long. One prominent commentator said on air, "LeBron is dangerously close to tarnishing everything he's built. We've seen this story before with other legends, and it never ends well when you stay too long." Another analyst went even harder. At this point, LeBron is playing for himself, not for winning, and that's a sad way to end a career like his. Social media turned into an absolute war zone. Twitter was flooded with takes ranging from sympathetic to absolutely savage. One tweet with over 200,000 likes said, "Watching LeBron struggle to score 10 points is like watching your childhood die in real time. I don't know how to feel." But not everyone was sympathetic. The haters came out in full force. "LeBron fans been telling us he's the GOAT for years. Where's that energy now? MJ never looked this washed. Just saying. The king is dead and we all witnessed the execution." Fan forums and Reddit threads exploded with debates. Is this just age catching up to him? Has he mentally checked out? Is he injured and hiding it? Did he lose his passion for the game? The theories were endless, but they all pointed to the same conclusion. LeBron James is no longer the player he once was, and it's not even close. Some fans started comparing him to other legends who declined rapidly in their final years. Remember Kobe's last season? LeBron is heading down that same path. Others brought up players who retired at the right time and preserved their legacies. Tim Duncan knew when to walk away. So did David Robinson. LeBron should take notes. The discourse got so intense that even former players started weighing in. One retired All-Star said in an interview, "Father Time is undefeated. LeBron gave us an incredible run, but biology doesn't care about your resume. Maybe it's time for him to consider his next chapter." But the most painful comments came from LeBron's own fans. The people who defended him through every controversy, every finals loss, every criticism. They were the ones now saying, "I love Bron, but this hurts to watch. He deserves better than this." And you know what the worst part is? LeBron sees all of it. He's on social media. He knows what people are saying. There are reports that he's become increasingly isolated, frustrated by the criticism, defensive about his performance. Friends close to him have said he's taking this harder than any other challenge in his career because there's no way to fight back against Father Time.
Let's stop dancing around it. LeBron's body is breaking down. After 22 seasons of carrying enormous workloads, playing deep into the playoffs year after year, logging more minutes than almost anyone in NBA history, his body is finally saying enough. This isn't about effort. It's not about heart. It's not about wanting it badly enough. It's about biological reality. Muscle fibers don't regenerate the way they used to. Joints don't recover as quickly. Explosive movements that used to be automatic now require conscious effort, and even then, the body doesn't cooperate. There's a reason why most NBA careers don't last past 15 seasons. The human body wasn't designed to handle the punishment of professional basketball for 2 decades. LeBron defied those odds longer than almost anyone in history, but even he can't escape biology forever. And this affects more than just him. His team's entire dynamic has shifted. Younger players who looked up to him are now unsure how to navigate having a declining legend on the roster. Coaches are stuck between respecting his legacy and making decisions that give the team the best chance to win.
management is facing the uncomfortable question of what to do with a player who's no longer performing but carries massive influence and salary implications. Behind closed doors, there have been difficult conversations. People who care about LeBron trying to find the right words to tell him that maybe it's time to think about the next phase. But how do you tell LeBron James, arguably the greatest player of all time, that he's not good enough anymore? Former players who went through similar declines have spoken about how painful that transition is. One retired star said in a recent interview, "The hardest thing about aging in the NBA is accepting that your mind still sees plays your body can't execute anymore. It's like being trapped in a prison of your own limitations." That's exactly what we're watching with LeBron right now. His basketball IQ is still elite. He still sees the game at a level most players never will. But when his brain says, attack the rim, his legs say, not today. When his instincts say, explode past this defender, his body says, let's try a fadeaway instead. The question everyone's asking is, should he retire now? Or does he keep fighting through this? And honestly, there's no easy answer. If he retires now, he goes out on a low note, unable to score 10 points consistently. But if he keeps playing like this, the decline could get even worse, and the narrative around his final years becomes increasingly painful. Some people argue he's earned the right to make that decision on his own timeline. Others say that great players know when to walk away, and clinging to glory too long only damages the legacy they worked so hard to build. What we do know is this: LeBron is at a crossroads. The basketball world is watching, and whatever decision he makes in the coming months will define how his entire career is remembered.
So is this really the end of King James? Can the greatest player of a generation accept that Father Time remains undefeated? Or will pride and legacy keep him on the court even as his body begs him to stop? LeBron James is officially at rock bottom. The 10-point streak is over. The whispers had turned into shouts. The decline is undeniable. What happens next will define how we remember one of basketball's greatest careers. Will he adapt, retire, or keep fighting against impossible odds? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure: we're witnessing the end of an era, and it's happening faster than anyone expected.